How does it help you streamline focus?
Yeah, I mean, in the past, I've had so many different ideas and I've tried to do 100 different things at the same time. When a wave is coming, you literally have to block everything out and only focus on that one specific thing.
Put that coffee down.
Creators are leaders. Be careful what kind of leaders you're producing here.
Helen, we're both in sales. Let me tell you why I suck as a salesman.
They realized that to be in power, you didn't need guns or money or even numbers. You just needed the will to do what the other guy wouldn't.
I'm not leaving. The show goes on.
Well, hello there, friend. Welcome back to the Construction Leadership Podcast. I am your host, Bradley Hartman. I'm excited to bring to you today my conversation with Mr. Erik Bornstein. He's the founder and CEO of TOOLBX. That is TOOLBX. So only 2 O's, not 3. TOOLBX.com. They enable online sales for independent building suppliers. Now, we are very selective when we have guests on, like Erik, who offer a service, who help both contractors and dealers, because I want to know what's really different. And I know you, like me, nobody wants a 35-minute sales pitch. And what's really unique about Erik is Erik has over 15 years of experience as a builder, residential home building, real estate development, commercial development. He was building $20 million single-family homes in the Toronto area. And then some of those clients took them into commercial construction, and the insights and the pain points and the challenges that he experienced as a builder led him to drop what he was doing, invest $500,000 of his own dollars, as you will hear, to start what has become TOOLBX.com. And again, that's TOOLBX.com. We talk about helping teams implement and leverage new technology. We talk about some habits and routines that Erik employs that help him stay on point and stay focused. And he shares 2 books that have changed his life and enabled some or a big part of the success that he and his team have had. So without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with Mr. Erik Bornstein, founder and CEO of TOOLBX.com. As always, thank you for listening. Mr. Erik Bornstein, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brad.
Yeah, we've been talking for a couple of years now, and really excited to have you here because I think you have a unique position, and we're going to be talking about this, and your career, I think, really exemplifies this idea of an earned insight. You've been there, you've done that, you've felt the pain, and now you've moved to an adjacent space in technology to solve these problems. So we're going to dig into all of that and more, your success of TOOLBX. But before we get too far, Erik, I want you to take me in the Wayback Machine. 12 years old. Now, you're Canadian, so maybe you said grade 6. Is it grade 7? I know they're a little bit different in a couple different ways. When you were 12, place us geographically and maybe talk to us a little bit about what Erik at that age was into. What were you passionate about?
I was the guy that was in the corner building Lego. I was the guy that, always wanted to solve complex problems and figure out ways to build new things. I was staring at buildings. I was always passionate about seeing construction sites. And kind of growing up, my uncle and aunt had a construction company. They had a custom home building company. And during the summers, I would always go and ask if I could sweep the floors. And, finally, when I finished high school and got into university, I decided to really focus on project management and construction engineering. Really worked my way up, within the construction industry. So I remember showing up to my uncle's job site, and he introduces me to a framer, and he's like, "Erik, you're gonna learn from the best. You're gonna learn from this really amazing framer." And I take out my hammer, the hammers that you have at home, the little like pocket hammers, right. And the framer literally laughed at me. He's like, "What is that thing?" He's like, "Go right now, go to the store, go get yourself a real hammer and a real tool belt." And that was really like the first really page of getting into construction and learning from others on how to build homes. Really started sweeping floors on job sites, learning from the framer, doing everything I could to learn, just keeping my eyes open. And, that constant evolution of learning, watching kind of moved me into a position of becoming a framer, then a site super, then a project manager, and then, eventually running and building my own construction company.
So where were you geographically? I have you pegged like around Toronto. Is that correct?
Yeah. I was in Toronto.
Okay.
So Toronto, Canada. Yeah.
That's it. I notice I always say the second T rather hard. You guys don't. It's Toronto. It's not Toronto. Toronto.
Yeah. We the North.
I'm coachable. Toronto. I should know that. So it looks like you spent about 14, 15 years. You went from working for a family business that was largely residential. Then you got in some real estate development, and then you got involved with some commercial work.
Absolutely. So when we started TOOLBX, I was a home builder. I was a developer. I did not know how to start a tech company. I didn't have those skills. I was not a technologist. But again, that principle of surrounding yourself with the experts and the best people in the business really helped accelerate the pace of my learning of building a tech business. For example, I connected with some of the top senior executives at Uber, at Shopify, at Facebook, and really sort of built out an advisory team of all the different skills I needed to build this business: operations, technology, HR, and sort of that understanding of giving them all equity to share the success in what we wanted to build was, I think, a huge accelerator to us, especially when building out the core team, using those advisors to make sure that the core team that we're going to bring on can give us that guidance and insight.
Uber, Shopify, Facebook, you connect with people. How? How'd you go about doing that?
Yeah, honestly, just connections from college, like literally just reaching out saying, hey, like I see you've got great experience at this company. Would love to have a conversation with you. Would love to just share what I want to do. And a lot of technology entrepreneurs kind of like take their business and they just put it in a box. They don't talk about it. They think someone's going to copy them. Mm-hmm. And I would say one of the biggest things for anyone starting any business is you got to go from 0 to 1. Everyone has a great idea. There's so many great ideas out there, but it's the willingness to literally like quit your job, take 0 paycheck. And in our case, I literally got out of the construction business. I was lucky to actually sell the business to my business partner at the time. But it's that willingness to quit your job, take 0 paycheck for over a year, and build something that you're really passionate about. I was really excited about building software for this industry, building software for lumber and building material suppliers. And then at the same time, really convincing others to quit their job or their cushy full-time jobs to join you.
Right. So before we dive into TOOLBX itself, and I'll share a story about how you first came on my radar through a client of ours, maybe put us in your mind as when you were still building, and what were some of the pain points you saw that you said, why isn't there something out there that solves this for me? Who's a developer? Who's building? Who wants to build faster and eliminate BS from my life? What were some of those pain points or frustrations or friction in the process that formed the root of this is what I'm going to go to build to solve that problem?
A lot of it was the day-to-day and weekly tasks on a construction site, and material management is a huge part of a construction project. You've got the trade side, ensuring that the trades show up, ensuring that they're going to execute the work. But the other half is procurement, ordering your materials, making sure the materials show up on time, making sure it's staged correctly. And, there was not a lot of transparency in the ordering, the procurement, and the payment process at a number of our suppliers. A lot of it was guesswork. Yes, we had great relationships with our sales reps, but the amount of times we had to call and say, hey, where's the order? When's the order showing up? Is my order on its way? All of that friction could be digitized. when it comes to payments, I remember there were a number of instances where we were growing our construction company and our accounts just got held up because we were going through so much material. And again, this was 7-8 years ago, where our dealers were like, "Hey, you gotta pay off your balances." And hey, the only way we can do that is if you come in and either pay by card present or mail us a check. And we were busy construction managers. I'm like, I can't mail you a check. Like, why can't I just go online, pay off my accounts, download my invoices, download my receipts? We were doing all that manual. We were waiting for statements. We were waiting for receipts. And the only way a builder gets paid, especially, we were doing cost plus construction management at the time. The only way a builder gets paid in that realm is if you get your invoices and you invoice your client. Well, if the supplier or your dealer doesn't get you the invoices on time, or you have to wait for them to mail them, or if you have to wait for them to upload them, that all takes away from the execution of the construction site. So it was, notifying where your materials are. It was the ability to order your materials 24/7. It was the ability to communicate with your sales reps efficiently. It was the ability to pay your bills and really ensure that your accounts and your receipts and your money was paid for on time, allowed us to, develop the concepts of TOOLBX.
Yeah. So I'll fast forward to kind of when TOOLBX and you came and your team came on my radar. I was talking to a client, for the moment that shall remain nameless. And we had recently done a workshop and we had these accountability calls. So every month we were talking to them. And we were 3 or 4 months past the workshop and we were just talking. And they said, "Hey, Hartman, you got to go check out our e-commerce. It's set up. You're going to like it." I said, "What do you mean your e-commerce?" I'm like, "Yeah, the site, it's up. We're collecting payments. We've got our first 10 grand already came online." I go, "What do you mean? When did this happen?" And I said, "I was just with you guys 3 or 4 months ago." They're like, "Yeah, in between when you were here and today, we did it." I said, "I have clients who've been working on their e-commerce for 3 years. You're telling me you did this in 90 days? And they said, "Yes." I said, "How was the process?" They're like, "Easy. It was fun. We're excited about it." And I said, "Who on earth or how? What was it?" And I said, "It's TOOLBX. You got to check it out." So that's when I reached out to you and I basically said, "What's your deal? What's this magic sauce you guys are slinging around here?" So fast forward there to, what does this engagement look like? How were you able to execute what has taken, for many folks, and maybe even now, years to accomplish? You guys are doing in a fraction of that time. So, and maybe just kind of run through a high level overview of kind of what you do and how I ended up having this conversation with the president of a couple $100 million dealer.
From a very high level, TOOLBX enables independent building suppliers to streamline payments, simplify AR, grow online sales, and really improve that customer experience. And our secret sauce as well is integrating with their ERP or their point of sale system.
What do the early parts of the conversation sound like? Because we will often hear, and I know you and I, we share several clients, and these are folks that think differently. I would say, broadly speaking, for our industry, speedy technology adoption and interest and experimentation is not something our industry does well. What did you find maybe in the early days when you were having conversations with folks and there was either no interest or some interest, but a hesitancy to say, "Oh no, this is going to be a thing"?
I remember when we first launched, walking into lumber dealers and literally getting laughed at by a number of these dealers saying, no one's going to do this. You guys are absolutely crazy. And then all of a sudden, Home Depot puts out an amazing customer portal. BFS puts out an amazing customer portal. The construction industry is absolutely changing. You cannot be complacent. A lot of the businesses are family run. A lot of them are really stuck in the same techniques. And it's the ones that are thinking outside the box, making those changes are the ones that, if I really look at that top 100, are the ones that are leading the charge.
Yeah, I often found that, broadly speaking, on a new process, a new change, a new software system, anything that is different than what they've been doing, maintaining the status quo, I often find sometimes the hardest sell isn't the actual customer. So it's not the contractor or the sub. It's the people inside the company that have to do the work. And they will often substitute the question of, will this provide more value to my customers and will they do it, with do I want to do this and do I want to do this now? And I just think, how long have we all developed the habit of just buying online through Amazon and seeing how easy and frictionless this is? They're far from perfect, but I have a absolute habit when it comes to buying things online. So what have you found, maybe just broadly speaking, outside of TOOLBX, just on driving technology change inside organizations? When you're from the outside and you have an executive leader who says, I know we need to do this, I need your help, because I either have a combination of people who are going to say, oh yeah, we'll do it, and won't do it, or we have a certain slice of the population that says, I don't want to do this and I'm going to retire in 5 years. I am not interested. And they're literally trying to row the boat in the opposite direction.
You don't throw the whole kitchen sink at it at once. We've done a great job at modularizing our products.
Okay.
So if someone wants to crawl, they could crawl. If someone wants to walk, they could walk. If someone wants to run, they could run, get the whole thing. And, sitting down with the different parts of the organization and showing them that, hey, we can alleviate pain. We can alleviate friction. We can make your life and your job easier, and approaching it in sort of a baby step kind of way. I can't tell you how many lumberyards I visit and go and talk to the order desk and say, how can we make your job easier? And when you get buy-in from the sales reps, when you get buy-in from your credit manager, your AR manager, that's when the software adoption really takes off. It's not just top-down approach. Mm-hmm. We sort of take a bottoms-up, top-down approach simultaneously.
Do you have any habits or routines that you would say, whether you picked them up recently or have been thinking about them and performing them for some time, that you would say have driven some of your own personal and professional success?
So learning from others that have been successful, I think, have really paved the way for me personally. A couple books that come to mind, 0 to 1 from Peter Thiel and Measure What Matters really impacted the way we set goals at our company and can really allow us to accelerate at a fairly fast pace from a product development standpoint. The way we sort of set our structure up is through, OKRs, objectives, and key results. Mm-hmm. And I think the rigorous planning process and the rigorous view of our metrics on a quarterly and monthly basis has allowed us to have a really solid routine just across the company.
How do you find time to read? Because I'll often hear from folks, and as you can tell, self-described book nerd, a big part of our success is just what you just talked about. Other really smart people have gone about their life being successful and have made some terrible mistakes and have said, here's what not to do. And if you just kind of pile those together and said, all right, here's the top 10 things really smart people said not to do because they've already made these mistakes and we can avoid those, I think better things are going to happen faster. But you're busy, you're traveling. I see you at like every other conference. You're bouncing back and forth between Canada, I presume. So you got a lot of stuff going on. How do you make time for that given your busy schedule?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is time management, literally putting blocks in your calendar for certain things to do, at least helps me. Getting up early, showing up, especially living on the West Coast, I find the early mentality so that you are available when your East Coast clients need to reach you has helped a lot. I've gotten into surfing. Surfing has really allowed me to kind of streamline focus.
I'm assuming part of that is to making sure you're not getting killed out there by the waves, but I've never surfed. How does it help you streamline focus?
Yeah, I mean, when a wave is coming, you literally have to block everything out and only focus on that one specific thing. So I think in the past, I've had so many different ideas and I've tried to do 100 different things at the same time. That has been one of my weaknesses, I would say, over the last 5 to 7 years of building this company. We've had so many different ideas, and kind of getting and narrowing down your focus has been really helpful.
There are no shortage of ideas. Idea generation, not a problem. Filtering system, so I don't annoy the hell out of my team, is one. Do you have any sort of questions or any sort of filtering process that over time you've improved upon with you and your team to make sure that, hey, lots of ideas, every idea on the table is fine. However, one thing at a time, or how do we keep it really simple to allow us to focus? I don't know. I'm just lying down on the therapy couch right now, Erik, looking for ideas. Any suggestions for me and anyone else in the audience that might be suffering from such a thing?
The way we sort of structure out, especially the features and products at TOOLBX, we have literally thousands of things we could be working on. Mm-hmm. A lot of it comes down to how much pain and impact can we be solving for our customers. So we sort of take everything that comes at us, we sort of stack rank it based on impact. And we also stack rank it not only based on like one customer's request, but hey, is this going to solve challenges across multiple customers? And so we sort of filter it out that way. We sit down bi-weekly and go through that. We have a fairly rigorous process of how we stack rank those requests, and then we sort of prioritize accordingly. You know, we can't build everything for everyone at the same time. We don't want to stretch our resources. So it's really about streamlining that focus and making sure we are working on the most impactful things with the right outcomes.
Cool. I think your story is really impactful and why you're different. You were there. You created TOOLBX to solve problems that you knew about and were facing when you were trying to grow your own business, which was building, I was going to say America. I guess we can, building North America.
You know, the goal here is there's so many different ways that a contractor can order their materials. And if you can be one of the easiest ones to do business with the help of technology, I think that's going to allow the dealers to really grow and exceed. The dealers already have a leg up with having the best people. You have the best sales reps, you have the most experience, the most knowledge. Now it's adding in that layer of technology to support that will, I think, just ensure that local dealers continue to grow and continue to just build those relationships even stronger.
Well, it's crazy to say this because we're recording this in almost Q4 2024. But there are a lot of markets where now investing in e-commerce, as crazily as this sounds, is still kind of a first mover competitive advantage. However, very, very soon, in the next 12, 24, 36 months, it will not be. And if you do not have this, it won't make sense. They're like, what do you mean? I can't get my invoice. I can't pay online. I can't just call up. I can't just do this from my phone. So I think we're at a really interesting point where technology that started kind of during the pandemic and forced people to change, this is very quickly going to be the status quo. And if you don't have this capability, it's going to be strange and odd. And your salespeople are going to be coming back and saying, yeah, we lost this business because they checked the box on e-commerce and we don't have that. So, hey, appreciate you making time. Congrats on your success and thrilled you made time for me. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right then, friend, how did that go? Hopefully you enjoyed my conversation with Mr. Erik Bornstein. If you did, please rate and review us on whatever podcast platform you are listening to. That helps us more than you know as we strive to bring our entire construction community closer together to help us build safer, more productively, and more profitably. That's it. I'm done. We're going to close out like we always do with our leadership mantra. You, my friend, are owed nothing. Deliver value first. Make it a great week.